The world you live in is a lie. It's a self-will world you live in. Everything is a fucking lie. You have to break that reality to find the absolute truth. If we want to manifest, we have to drop that whole idea because you are the manifestation. Two things before we start. I'm not religious. I've just studied most of them, found a lot of similar patterns, and I've seen where things have went over their head and they just completely missed the target. Also, I'm not going to be rambling. You're going to think at first I'm rambling. I'm weaving. I'm always going to be circling back, and I'll let the president explain that to you.
To weave, you have to be a genius. To go on tangents, anybody can do that.
The I am that I am. When this text was written and translated to each other, the Hebrew is present moment, right? There's no past tense or pretense. So it's all present moment speaking. And you hear that like God is the breath of life. There's a thing that will happen when you meditate long enough with visualization. You do get some deep visualization and you get your emotions attached because let me explain something to you, Playboy. Majority of the world is acting off impulse. So short-term gratification is an emotional impulse. Your emotions are there to let your subconscious know the action you're doing is a good action. It's not for your emotions to drive the action. It's for the action to drive the emotion. That's why I have, it's an existential quote. We must act out passion before we can feel it. It's a delayed gratification because 90% of your mind is your subconscious. When they're talking about, I like to believe, and I think I'm hitting something here, that when Jesus is speaking, he's speaking from the higher self, from the subconscious, from the 90% of the being, right? So he's speaking from that perspective, from that instead of having a first person perception, right? Like where the ego and how we interact with each other physiologically, right? He's speaking from the good orderly direction that's happening from the subconscious mind because our spirit, our subconscious is connected with the laws of the universe. And there are 7 of those. They're the Hermetic principles. That's why there's 7 days in the creation story. There's a lot of reasons why 7, but there's 7 phases of creation. If you can visualize it and you can think it, you can do it. And then that's when the emotions are part of your intuition. That is a divine thing. That is a primal instinct. People are being manipulated by marketing, by big corporations, by each other because it's human instinct. The world you live in is a lie. It's a self-will world you live in. Everything is a fucking lie. You have to break that reality to find the absolute truth. That God is in everything because God is not only the laws of the universe, but it is the universe. So it's like, all right, this is why the Kabbalion is so they say the Kabbalion is like lessons of life that aren't written down or whatever. They're lessons of life through life because God is happening to itself, experiencing itself, learning from itself, teaching itself. It's a yin and a yang, a balance. Something this morning that came to me and I wrote it down because I'm at a point where I can, when I go to sleep, I tell myself what I'm going to go to sleep to. I do a deep visualization. I think I mentioned it earlier where I put myself into this deep state where I'm using rhythms and print. Like once you understand the laws of the universe, right, you have to learn it, witness it, be a part of it. So the witnessing is being a part of the universe. It's learning through life. The witnessing is the learning through life. That's why story is so important. That's why parables are so heavy. They're stories based on actual events because we learn through the lessons of life. And that's what the Kabbalion is. It's learning through the lessons of life, the unwritten text of life, because it's there. You can't dodge it, man. Like it is inevitable. There's ebbs and flows, vibrations, frequencies, correspondence. Like you can't get around these things. They happen on the micro and the macro. If we want to manifest, we have to drop that whole idea because you are the manifestation. I am that I am. I am whatever I'm doing. That's who I am. I'm not my intentions. The road to hell was paved on good intentions. You're not what you're wishing for. You're not what you're going to say you're going to do. You're what you're doing. So, and it starts getting into a non-duality because who's to say what's good or bad? Because the 7 principles that the whole universe lives aligned with it's not really saying good or bad. It's just saying that if you do this, it is inevitable this other thing will happen. An equal or opposite thing will happen. Newton law ain't new. Like, physics ain't new. Astrophysics ain't new. Metaphysics ain't new. It's all been there. So understanding it, being the witness, experiencing it in your life, learning it through the lessons of life, having yourself be the Yahweh, not that because you are a part of God. So you are God witnessing itself and happening for itself. You understand? We all are. And that's why you have the power of creation in you. Procreation is how you create another human being, another light being, because that's the physiological realm we live in. All, like, you think you speak one language, right? People, they're born in a country and they think they speak one. People think they speak one language. You're born with like whatever 6 senses or whatever it is. Those senses are languages, right? So words, they're ways to communicate. Words are ways to communicate the reality. So is like feeling and smelling. It's all to communicate the reality. Your subconscious mind can't dictate what's real and what's not real. The feeling that is provoked will let your subconscious mind know what's good and what's bad to your beliefs, values, and principles. That's why people can be screwed over, and one person, it's like water off a duck's back. It doesn't bother them. And that's why to them, it's just devastating because it doesn't line up with their values, principles, and beliefs. The thing is, the closer you get to the 7 laws of the universe and stay aligned with those things and start using those things in a abundance way, right? So like to you, for you, and through you, or whatever it is, I talked about it, the levels of consciousness happening to me, happening by me, happening for me, happening through me. So the way you work your way up that and you stay aligned with the rhythm, you can start using music to, like, I don't really listen to music really ever. At night is when I listen to music, and that's when I do my visualization. You can start using these rhythms and stuff like that. All these things that the universe is constructed of in your favor, as long as it's not a selfish self-centeredness about it. It's about the intention of moving humanity forward or something. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, saying God's name in vain is not goddamn. It's using God power for your own selfish desires and needs. Like saying you're doing good for God, but you're benefiting but it's really for your benefit. You're disguising your benefit as doing God's work. That's why Jesus flipped those tables. I'm sure he was a real dude and stuff like that. For me, it makes more sense that he's speaking from the perspective of the higher consciousness. He learned so much about everything I'm telling you. He's able to let the universe flow through him and speak to people in these parables, because we learn life. We learn through story, and story is a language to communicate the physical reality. It's a way to communicate, the language of reality through story. You can't not tell stories. You can't not be a part of a story. So I am going to have to do like a pictogram to lay that all out for you guys, but it's, in summary, I am that I am is in the center. That's your identity. And then you've got your values, principles, beliefs, your Holy Trinity, your mind, your spirit, and your physical manifestation, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. And then outside of that, you have the 7 laws of creation, which is the Hermetic principles. They're like a circle. Yeah. And then you can get into like hot and cold, male and female. I'll get into that another day. It's a lot, but it's being able to learn it all, to soak it all up, and then witness it, experience it, and basically unlearn it to where it's like almost like a automation. It's back into your subconscious. You're aware of the silent observer. That's why we have such a bad gut feeling when government means to control your actions, and they're controlling your actions by controlling your emotions. And if you can get control of your thoughts and your emotions and let them work for you through those Hermetic principles, now you are in line with the creation process, and you can start doing that for yourself, and you won't be swayed by other people and their gossips and all this other stuff that's being just thrown at you, trying to get your attention, right? Trying to get your energy. It's all an energy transfer. It's about you having your energy and being able to move it in a direction that you chose, not having it being pulled away from you or stolen from you. It's being able to make a choice of where you want it to go and send it that way because you chose. And then that's when feelings validate your passions, and it becomes a subconscious automation, and you find purpose in life. Governments, all this see, I'm circling back around. Governments, people get so upset. It's like an internal instinct for you to not want to be micromanaged, right? For you not, that's why everyone hates all these big corporations. It's like, it's not that they're out to get you, and I don't even know that they even know that they're it's just, conspiring is just like part of self nature. The nature of self is to conspire. So we get upset because subconsciously, internally, and our intuition is like, hey, I should be guiding and directing myself. I don't need some shadow hanging over me. I have the light. I'm moving with the light. I'm radiating this energy. I don't need someone telling me I know what's right and wrong and what's good for humanity as a whole. So we get caught up in this pain because it hurts our souls for institutions and stuff to be dictating and drawing boundaries for us and telling us to tote the line. That is the all-seeing eye is your subconscious. It is not, it shouldn't be the government. And that's where it rubs us the wrong way, because we can see where it's a false god trying to control our actions. Because remember, like I said at the beginning, I am that I am. I am my actions. There's nothing more to me than my actions. There's nothing more than the present moment. So what I'm doing right now is who I am. So figure out some values and principles that work for you and are aligned with the universe. I'll give you a hint. Honesty, integrity, and autonomy are 3 you can't go wrong with. Get out there and give it, create or conform.